Okay, Sridhar, thank you very much for joining us on Mind Talks, and I'm really so thrilled to have you here.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure interacting with you, Ian.
Seeing you in the news recently, I said, if I don't catch Sridhar now, I'm not going to be able to catch him. So I said, this is the time. That's why I quickly scheduled the slot, and I said, let's. I know you from the good old days when you were at the manager level, and I think it was the time when Tatas were taking over VSNL, and we did the first coaching program and training program for them for their salespeople. And I remember there was this group of people who didn't know anything about sales. Some of them were language translators, I remember.
Yeah.
And 13, 14 years without a job because, VSNL was now in that, monopoly space and nobody needed to work, government agency. And Tata wanted streamlining and said, either you take a golden handshake and you walk out, or you can get you trained in something else.
Right.
And we trained the first sales team, and you were such a brilliant guy on the job. So I remember meeting you, Srinath, right? Srinath. So, and of course, thanks to our good friend and our common friend and ally is JK. He's a tremendous guy. I'm still in touch with him. I hope you are as well.
I am in touch. Yeah, very much.
Okay. So, VSS, now you went on to be COO, I think, of Tata Telecommunication, was it?
TCTS, yeah.
Yeah. And, I remember how you run the company almost as a CEO, but, you didn't even fight for the designation. So certain things in my mind stuck out, of the great VSS. And now I find, you're in the news, you got Series A funding, 35 crores, and you're going to now start to do biofuels. I don't know what all nice things you're doing. So I just thought you should tell us what you're doing and tell us all the touch points in your career if you feel they were relevant to your form of leadership at the present point of time.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. In fact, early on after my MBA, there was this huge thing about, doing well in the career, growing, and you have to lead the organization. A career path for an MBA is to be a CEO and so on and so forth. Yeah, the reason I laugh is it's not an easy journey, right? So when we appear on the stage with stars in our eyes, then we fall, right? Almost immediately.
That's true.
Things are not the same. So my early days, I think, taught me some very good lessons about life. That you can't take anything for granted, right? All that anything does for you is open a gate.
Right.
Opening a gate is a big thing. I mean, you cannot underestimate it. But once the gate is open, it is for you to perform and it is for you to take it forward. This entitlement thing that people think about doesn't exist. That's the first lesson I got to learn from Wipro. When I found Wipro, yeah. So where I was asked to call on anybody and everybody as a cold calling salesperson, right? And it was tough where one of the customers called me over saying, "I don't have money to buy your computers, but I can give you tires instead."
Oh, I see. Wow. Barter system.
Yeah, barter, right? So I had to deal with those kinds of customers. But I think what changed was the kind of perspective when I joined IBM. It brought about me as well. After the grounding I got in Wipro, IBM helped me look at world in a very different way, pretty holistically and big picture, right? Why do I say that? Unless you have a big picture, you cannot go. You cannot stay the course, right? You have to have the big picture, and you have to have the things you got to do in your mind, because the mind plays a big game in terms of shaping everything that you do. So once you do that, you're onto a path. It also taught me the value of time. So there was this famous thing called the S curve, right? S curve is when you take up a new job, right? Because of your entitlement, you are expected to perform at a certain level, but you soon discover that you don't. You start falling. Then you start learning, right? You start panicking and you start learning. Then the curve starts going up and up and up and up, right? As it depends on how motivated you are, but assuming that you're very motivated, it takes you really high. Then after that, you start plateauing at some point, right? Then it is time to remind yourself, do you want to start a new S curve or do you want to grow? That's an important decision point. So I kind of, in every 18 to 24 months, ask those hard questions to myself. Have I done enough to deserve growth, or do I have to restart?
Right.
In some form, that explains why, lots of things I've done. While I've stayed in an organization long enough, I've done roles every 2 3 years. People who have seen me have asked me that, why do I see you change every 2 3 years? Because to me, that is growth. To do something different, that is growth. And to do something wonderful, that is growth. So when I trace back the path that I had from IBM, I had to switch. And the switch that I made was the Tata Group, because here I was told that, I don't have to keep looking outside the country for directions. Here we can be our own bosses.
Right.
We have the white canvas onto ourselves and we can use the paintbrush and pretty much paint our dreams.
Sure.
So those kinds of conversations with Srinath.
Srinath is a great leader. Yeah. In fact, one of the guys I really admired when along the way of this, learning was Srinath.
Yeah.
So thanks that you mentioned him.
Yeah. He was telling me that basically you can control your own fate, right? And what you do with it is very much up to you. And that kind of appeal, because I was at a stage of life where I thought, getting guided, getting instructed is one thing. But if I were to really grow and do something substantial, then this should be the organization or the group that I should join. But IBM actually was a Tata Group initiative, which became IBM eventually. And then I left it. Of course, tremendous amount of learning I had in IBM, no two ways about it. All my professional learning, professional ethics, understanding the big picture, all that came from IBM. So after that, I went on to the Tata Group, and in the Tata Group, while we started as Tata Internet Systems, where we were shaping the future, VSNL happened, right? So God's grace that I was young at that time. Like you said, manager. I was actually GM. I was general manager.
Wow! But that was young to be general manager.
Yeah, I was a general manager. Yeah. So young, of course, general manager. Then you're right. VSNL people had this entitlement mentality that they are here to stay. No one can take their jobs away. And suddenly, when the Tata Group came, they had this huge sense of insecurity. But the giant of a man, Mr. Tata, is when we took over VSNL as a Tata Group. He told the employees that don't worry, we will find a career path for you going forward. We have a 2-year window in which we can help you shape destiny. We will not remove you, but ensure that you get guided in a good path, right? And so you can build on your careers for that. Taking a cue on that, Srinath brought me on board and said, go and start a direct selling enterprise business. I said, wow. These public sector employees, taking them down the journey. And I've not done that before, right? General manager was a fancy title, but there weren't years of experience behind me at that time. So it was a big challenge because I had people 20, 22, 25.
Tenured people, absolutely.
Senior to me who had to be considered. It was interesting that, when I posted out that we are creating a sales organization for enterprise business, we got some 400 odd applications. So,
surprising.
Me and the HR person, Mr. Natarajan, we are like stunned. We were asking for some 30 odd positions. We got 400 applications. Then I quickly sifted through it and said only, under 40 or 45 max, engineering, good looking, with their pictures and all that. Those kinds of, some preset notions that you had in your mind. I went to my boss. He immediately fired me and said, what is this that you're doing? You're supposed to consider every candidate who's applied.
Oh.
you cannot just, from that bunch pick up some 50 resumes in interview and get away with it. You have a tough job, I know, but that's why you're here.
Wow.
Okay.
This
That,
part I didn't know.
yeah. So I went to 8 cities in India where the major locations were there. Interviewed those 400 people. I tell you, I've never interviewed so many people in my life.
That's awesome. Yeah.
My mornings used to start very early, 9:30, and then end up late. And I had to finish those 400 in a given, I think we finished in about less than a week, or maybe maximum about 10 days. And we came up with a recommendation that, we did the shortlisting, the interview, we went through a full-fledged process. And that is the team, Ian, that you saw.
That's the team that you finally selected. Yeah.
So it was, what told me was, it's not age, but attitude matters, because you met them, somewhere
Yes.
56 and 58-year-olds who
Yeah,
were,
they made the cut well. Yeah.
who made the cut well because of their amazing attitude and amazing spirit that they had. And that was a lesson to me as well, that, it's not age, it's just the attitude. You can go on till you die. I mean, if as long as you have great attitude, you'll always be useful. Right, and that's a great thing that I learned. And other fascinating thing was the way they picked up after your session, Ian, right? The way they got motivated to pick up the new job. And people who have never even probably, combed their hairs properly, or, worn clean shirts. And I won't go into that, but basically we had to groom them.
Yeah, you had to groom them
in
from
front of the
scratch.
customer. And they accepted with joy. And, in just 3 months, they were performing, and they were performing. Oh my God, they were delivering 100 crores a month and from zero. That was fantastic. That was a beautiful phase.
It was superb. In fact, I don't know whether you remember a guy called Sushil.
Yeah.
Really? Awesome guy. He went and he covered his whole year's target in 2 days.
Yeah.
And I remember his GM calling me and saying, "Sab, abhi iske liye kya target lagate?" So I said, "Don't put a target for him. Sushil is a different kind of guy. You have to do me a favor. Tell him whatever target you want to take, you take here.
Okay.
So put the tables onto him and he'll perform. And give him some incentive if you can." That's it. So, for me, that was a big tick box, because in 2 days' time, he closed his 1 year target out without having any sales experience or anything. And I thought that was like, wow.
Yeah.
So you don't know what the human spirit can do, Sridhar. And that's what I'm talking in these mind talks, I'm saying, boss, you make up your mind. See, somebody like you, look at the way you have grown.
Yeah.
Remember, you move out of Tata also into TVS and go as a vice president there. And I'm thinking like, wow, this guy is like smart guy. And you were ahead of the batch by then.
Right.
I wanted those touch points to be covered somewhere.
Yeah.
What happened in your mind? What did you do?
This thing about growth bug is the one that made me leave VSL, and that when you're talking about the TVS thing. So here was Mr. Gopal Srinivasan himself talking to me and saying that you can lead it and so on. I said, well, this opportunity which was there, which I was creating, was very close to my heart. It was a big decision for me to move away, and so much so I had attracted Mr. Tata's attention. And Mr. Tata had approached me through somebody and said that, you should reconsider your decision. You shouldn't leave the Tata just like that. I said, it's a heavy decision for me, and I consulted my boss as well. He said, you go, I'm sure you'll come back.
That was a lot of confidence, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll come back. You're a person who's got very deeply attached here. You've got deep values here. So you're going to come back. And sure enough, I came back. And I came back as a vice president, by the way. So that was a jump.
I think you did that lateral jump 2 levels up, and then you came back at a much higher level.
Yeah.
So you're.
You know what my boss did? Srinath again, right? All credit to him. He said, okay, now that I know what you've done in Tata Commune, VSNL at that time, I want you to do something different. I said, what is it? You have to go to Montreal. I said, what? And lead our initiative for the merger and acquisition. So we had acquired a company called Teleglove at that time. And he said, Sridhar, you are perfect to do the job. I said, I am perfect because what is the thing that you see in me? I have been a sales guy and I've created sales teams and I've performed. All that is fine. He said, no, I won't be talking to you if I didn't have the confidence that you can do it.
That's true.
Wow. Okay. Then, I tried to kind of ask him, what are the strengths that I should actually play up and what are the things that I should do? He says, your ability to work with people, no one can hold a candle to it. I said, is that coming from you? It's a big things, I mean, I'm saying that. I said, wow, that's enough. Okay. He's motivated me enough. Now I don't care how anything else goes. That kind of, lifted my spirit to do exceptionally well there, because I was going to an environment where they were all Canadians, white people, right? There were hardly any non-white people there. And on top of it, they're all French. And the Quebec French were different from the rest of Canada because they had their own distinct identity. And, they were a very proud kind of set of people. So I heard, my God, when I went there, and I've written a lot about my winter experience, and I've been blogging. I know you've also seen some of them. So for me, everything was a change. The weather, the people, the whole culture, the ethos. Their culture was they'll come in the morning at 7:30 and go home by 4 o'clock, and they will be extremely productive. And they'll not lose a moment in the office. But 4:30 they're off, right? But they show up at 7:30 in the morning. And I'm not used to that. We are used to starting at 9:30, 10 and then going on.
Yeah, boss, aram se. Indian stretchable time.
Yeah. Indian stretchable time. And for them, emails means everything. I've sent you an email and you haven't responded is blasphemy.
Yeah.
Right. And for them, personal contact, phones and all is a no unless it's really urgent. Right?
Absolutely required.
If I can do business with you impersonally, then why not, right? I don't have to understand who you are, what your family is, what your family dog is doing, and stuff like that. No. As long as this is that, it's fine. And getting an appointment and meeting people is not easy, right? They'll simply ask you when you can get things done through somebody else, or you can get done through these non kind of direct means. You should. So those are so they were always if you wanted to reach somebody, you had to do a voice message, right? I'm talking those days. So voice message, they'll listen to you and they'll respond to you in case they're interested. Otherwise, right? So those kinds of things happen. So here I was caught in between these two cultures. Why? Because the Indian management team and we are acquiring a Canadian team. Right? So I told you, they were a very proud bunch of people and they did exceptionally well in their business, but bad times. So they had to sell out for reasons which they didn't control, of course. I won't get into that. But when we took over, there was a clear expectation that these are people coming from the Tata Group, which is a very respected group. Those days, mergers were not very common across the world. Right. From an India perspective, I'm talking of Indian companies going and taking over.
No, right? It wasn't even heard of. Yes.
Unheard of, right? Here I'm talking about 2004, 2005. So unheard of. So here I was as an Indian representative sitting there. I was all alone for most of the time, except when we used to have the Indian delegation coming in, Indian team coming in for monthly meetings or quarterly meetings and so on, right? So the lesson there was to try and integrate with them. I was trying to hold on to my people management skills and people interaction skills and the social connects that I had. So I developed some great bonds there. I'm still in touch with some families.
Nice.
This is after 16, 17 years. I'm still in touch with them. And I still get Diwali greetings and send them Christmas greetings. When I was in a situation where it was just snow out there and I had nothing to do, I was all alone because family was in India. I didn't take them. Right? I was there only for under a year kind of an assignment, almost a year, of course. So in that period of time, since I had nobody, no friends, nothing, the family there took care of me. And I still remember the lady used to work for us, Eleanor. Her partner, husband, who used to tell me, gave me a lesson saying that you have come to a country. You have shut off your video, Ian.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. You have come to a country where the incidences of suicides, deaths, depressions are the highest during this period, and you're right here in between. I know in India is a very social kind of a thing, and your weather is very different and so on. You have to embrace the snow and learn to live with it. You have to embrace this adversity.
That's good advice. Yeah.
He told me if you don't do that, you will also end up in a depression case or worse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah.
he helped me take my first steps to embrace snow, like learning to walk on snow, learning to move around in snow, learning to drive the car on snow, and most importantly, skiing. I learned skiing there.
Wow. You did that also.
Yeah, I learned skiing there. And simply because the weekend we had nothing to do, so might as well go and ski. And the learning was tremendous fun. So life changed completely for me at that time with those lessons of the adversity, right? And it happened that not only did I made lots of new friends, and skiing itself was a terrific experience, right? I made more new friends and so on. So life became pretty interesting, and then I learned cooking. I was all on my own, so I learned
Oh, I
all
see. Uh-huh.
survival skills. Yeah, I made my dals and I made my so at home before that. Even heating water would be a big exercise for me.
Okay.
So after going there, I learned all that. When my family came to visit me, I even cooked a meal for them. Of course, after that,
Oh, wow.
yeah, over, yeah, I cooked a meal for them.
Impressive.
Still remembers and still criticize the amount of salt I put in it.
Small price to pay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that was the Montreal experience, but it taught me one more lesson. I'm coming on to the management lesson, which when we went into this acquisition process, I am seen, I am the big guy and you're not, kind of a thing. Doesn't work, right? Because those people also respected professionals. So if somebody went there and said, "I am the acquirer," and you listen to me, then they know the reaction was very, very different. My boss told me about it. He said you should be very sensitive to what they say and what they do.
That's the right way.
So one good thing is I always looked at them as peers and colleagues and respected them for what they brought to the table. I never showed any disrespect to them. I always ensured that they were comfortable doing meetings and all. But the great thing that my boss did was, this of course I give it completely to him, saying that they are bringing a certain brand and a certain brand value.
Certain value to the table. Yeah.
Okay? I will go to the market and assess whether their brand is better than mine or VSNL brand. He did an independent assessment. When it came out starkly that Teleglobe brand is a bigger brand than VSNL, we adopted the Teleglobe brand. That to me was a huge thing, right? To accept that
Huge.
you're acquiring somebody and you still respect their brand and you're building that brand was a big thing. So we continued with that brand for a number of years.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
The other thing that he did was he introduced a senior management team into the mix, right? He brought on Teleglobe folks, and in fact, almost like a number two guy, there was a person from Teleglobe who was serving with us, right? And he served many years after that. So the team there got integrated pretty well with us. That to me was an amazing thing we did. And the whole interaction used to be that they did a lot of reading on the Tata Group. See, the great advantage that I had was I wasn't representing any Chota Mota group. That Tata Group was
It's huge.
biggest brand icon that we have, and the kind of value systems and the 8-hour shift system. They read all about it and said, "Wow, Tata Group is a very serious group and very respected, and hence we are very happy to be acquired by a group like that.
Good stature. Yes.
Some other group which would have just thrown us away in three to 4 months and stuff like that, right?" So that was done. So that was one great journey that I had. Then after that, what
I
happened?
want to just stop you for 1 second. I'm very curious to find out. See the Tata culture and all. I remember even with VSNL, the takeover. A lot of these sales guys came and said, "Sir, kuch to dena padta hai." And I remember the discussion, and he said, "Sorry, Tata Group doesn't go with bribery and corruption and all that. Deal with it.
Yeah.
There are other ways to get sales done without giving all these bribes and under the table thing."
Right.
And that's one of the things that stuck out in my memory. A lot of the companies I trained would not have taken that stand.
Yeah.
So the Tata Group, in my mind, always stood right there.
Yeah. So you bring a very interesting point, Ian. I have done sales most part of my life. I still am selling, right? Most part of my life. So I know how the customer actually behaves in different situations. I've seen that. So one thing I can tell you, that if you stand upright and you stand for certain ethical values, the customer respects it. If he knows that you represent an entity, you represent a company, you represent an organization that doesn't do this, he'll toe the line, right? And why? Because as a buyer, it also enhances his own image.
That's true.
What happens is that if he's bought us as a Tata group, as a Tata company, then he is giving a message to the others saying that, see, I'm a fair, I'm a champion of,
Enhances his brand value also. Yes,
I don't
absolutely.
take it, right? That's a great message he sent. He builds his own brand image by choosing us. So that is very important as well. So these things about bribery and all is there. But then there are customers and customers, there are ways to get around with it, there are ways to deal with it. And not to succumb to it is the most important thing, but deal with it is to help him enhance these kinds of values, right? And these are
Absolutely.
important as well. And when you sell to a customer, right, making him sound like a champion in his company is a very important thing, right? One of the things is buying us, but more importantly, if you have shown him that by doing this he builds tremendous value for his company, which is coming through either higher revenue or lower cost or great customer service, these are three things that everybody looks at, then he's going to buy you.
Absolutely.
No two ways about it, right?
You
So as
explained
long
that
as
so well. Yeah,
sales,
thank you.
salesperson, you occupy that pedestal and say that I can do it, and then you step down and help the customer grow, you're going to get it. You're going to make the sale.
So I'm picking up a lot of your secrets and your tips and tricks now.
Thanks.
Nice, nice. Thank you, sir. Yes, you actually explained that so beautifully.
Yeah.
So now, tell me now, you're now in a, you're your own boss. You're a partner in a company. Tell us how that happened. Because you've done so many big things. One would assume that Sridhar would retire, as CEO of some big brand and sit quietly and do his stuff. But now you're getting into the thick of business.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I'll actually give a lot of credit to my friend Veeragwan, who actually told me about what he was doing. Uh, while I was in Tatacom, I was doing IoT, right? Which again, after my enterprise business, see, there is this bug in me to do something new. Like I've always told you, right? Every 2, 3 years, I want to do something new,
Makes sense.
make a difference, make a difference.
But you're still married.
My-
No, I'm
Still,
just saying, I'm hoping after 2, 3 years you do something new. Just
yeah.
you thought I was going to leave you, Sridhar.
It's not. So coming back, when I was with the Tata Group, I was doing IoT. IoT is Internet of Things, and Internet of Things is changing the world already, right?
It is.
On your body, as you wear your watch or your phone,
Everything is connected. Yeah.
everything is connected. Everything, there are sensors everywhere, so everything is being watched,
Yeah. Everything is being watched and heard also. Yeah.
measured. Yeah, all that is happening. So IoT is changing the world, right? When I entered into IoT in 2016, it was just the beginning of it, right? So we had this amazing new technology coming in where you could deploy small devices on a very low powered network. That helped me think about safety very differently. For example, there is a worker safety solution in Tata Steel, which we pioneered during my time.
I see.
Um, where workers carry the safety device, and once they cross a certain threshold or an emergency barrier where they're not supposed to get into, there is an alarm that
Also, yes, yeah.
they get to hear on the buzzer, or even the organization gets to see it, whoever are the managers and all that. So that alert really helps prevent accidents big time, right? Earlier, you had a situation where people could, you had only physical kind of separation to prevent people from getting into hazardous areas. But this was a device which was, you can mark it
You can map it on a grid. Yeah.
on a grid, right, virtually. And once you draw a virtual boundary, anyone crossing that, you
The alarm goes off. Yeah.
yeah. So those kind of safety controls have really helped them reduce accidents. I know personally that they have reduced accidents. So I'm not claiming all the credit for it, but the fact that during my period that was developed,
No, definitely. Yeah.
so those are things that IoT does for you: save lives, bring down measurement levels, talk about agriculture, moisture levels in the soil, so that right amount of moisture is given. You don't flood the plants and stuff like that, or pollution levels are monitored, so you know which areas you need to focus on. So there is a wide this thing doing it. Like, why I'm telling you that story is this bug about making a difference is something that was always close to me.
Back of
And
your mind. Yeah.
also the fact that I also try and measure. Personally, I can do so much with technology. I can create a bigger
So much.
impact.
Mhm.
Yeah, the impact can be substantial.
Yes.
And we all know that in a lot of darkness, all it takes is a single lamp to bring brightness into the whole room and so on. I mean, those are things that I always said. If you make a difference like that, then why not?
Yes.
At that time when Tata was, I had kind of gone into the IIT thing for a few years now, and we developed that. So my friend was telling me about this idea that he had developed of creating diesel from waste. Now, diesel from waste was a fanciful idea even at that time. I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, of course." And he had a very rich background. I mean, he's come from Europe. He gave up chucked his job and came down to India just to do that. As he started talking, I got interested. Then at some point of time, he told me, "I need help." Right? I can look at the technology side of it. I cannot look at the business side of it. It is going to stretch me too thin. I am at a stage where now the business it should be run as a business. I've done all the technology trials, done it. IIT Madras has also blessed it. All that has done. Now you take it. Right? When I heard, the IIT Madras trust happened very much when I was in Chennai at that time. So that got me thinking that now is the time to do this change as well. I've never been on my own my entire life. Uh, Being on your own is a very different kind of experience because you don't have that big brand name behind you. You don't have people behind you. You don't have your network because once you're out of that, nobody really holds that kind. There's only a personal relationship that you can stretch it to some point. Uh, if I used to flash my Tata card, I would open doors anywhere, right? I have never ever been refused an appointment, right, at any level in the country, right? Because the brand name is so big.
And it's so big. Yeah.
But here I am, trying to push my card and
Nobody's recognizing the card.
right. So all that those patient hearings they would give is only because of some connects or some through somebody that you get to know him and all that. Right? So it was a very different experience. It's like starting afresh without a brand name behind you. Kind of I was up to the challenge because I knew that unless I rolled up my sleeves, it wouldn't get done. So this thing about starting, and the thing I also told myself, I have another 5 years, maybe 5, 10 years. I have to make a big difference during this time. Right? And being in the Tata Group, I've done it. Right? Now being an entrepreneur is thing, and here is a great opportunity, the environment opportunity.
Good for the country as well. Yeah. So
Good for the country as well. So I took it up, and soon I believe started making a difference immediately because we then could socialize to many more. See, he was a technocrat, technologist. For him, calling on customers, being refused, and all that is not something that he's
yeah,
used to.
you take a beating on that.
Yeah. So for me, I know the rejections happen all the
Yeah, you're
time.
a sales guy, so you know.
Yeah, when you knock on 10 doors, one will open, right? I always had that in mind. So this thing about knocking on many doors and only a few will open kept me going. Right? So the rejection thing was a part of me. So
Used to it. Yeah.
without rejection, there's no way that you can progress, right? Because when the right door opens, it opens really well. So I partnered with him. We grew the business together. We are growing the business together. It should be the right word. So what also helped was this personal connect that we had. Actually, we are four of us who got together as friends, and our connect was we were engineering college buddies.
So this goes back to then, is it? All of y'all, four of y'all?
Yeah.
Wow.
All of us went our own different paths and have converged now.
How did you choose these other two? The first two, I can understand the connection. The remaining two, how did you choose from so many batchmates?
No, okay. It's interesting that, if you look back at your college days, you always had this core, some small gang.
Group of friends, yeah.
That core always, you'll be in touch.
So that is the point, right?
Yeah, it was nothing to do with our skill sets or abilities.
No.
We
It's
just
a
know
trust
each
level.
other. We just
Trust
know
level, comfort level. I think that's it. Yeah, okay.
huge amount of comfort level that we had, and our ability to whatever slam each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Our
Frank
ability
and forthright conversations, I call those.
conversations, hot-headed conversation, but at the
Yeah,
end of it, remain friends. I mean, at the end of the day, right? Because at this stage of life, our egos are pretty big.
yeah,
But when you go back and connect with your old friends,
yeah. That
egos are
ego
gone.
goes out. Yeah.
The egos were at that level where you establish that relationship. Right? It has the ego hasn't grown.
I'm so glad you brought this up. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that helped, have conversations without feeling bad about it. We would call each other names when in the corporate world and all. There's no we can do that, right?
Some of
So
these conversations we must continue after this interview as well.
yeah, yeah. So, I don't know how much time you have, but
No, seriously. Yes, just go ahead because I want to get to the bottom of this. What made Sridhar the entrepreneur happen and become so successful so soon? That's what I want to figure out.
yeah. So it's like this that success doesn't come without trying, but success needs luck also, right? So I would think that success is more like a mental makeup. Right? Why I say that is you can be successful at anything as long as you have told yourself you are successful. The
State of mind.
measurement of success is internal,
Hmm.
and if you can keep that going, you should be happy with yourself, basically. Right? What is success to me may not be success to you, or what is
Right,
success
right.
may not be success to me. But this, if you define yourself as success, you're successful. Ian, you gave us that result, that great lessons, right? If you think you can do, you can do. If you think you can't, you can't,
You
right?
got it. Yeah.
Success is the same thing. I also see success also is in small bites that you do every day or every week. If you have progressed a little, that is success. And if you have taken big leaps, that is big success.
Hmm.
If you have not, that is at least small success. So you have to
It's
keep
not a destination; it's a journey. So
it's a journey.
yeah,
Absolutely.
every day something or the other.
There is, yeah, yeah. The human life is just a journey, right? Because there is a certain end that nobody knows when, but during that entire period, it's a full journey. So
It's either the philosopher coming through now.
the philosophy.
We don't know when, but that day
Yeah,
will come someday. And until then, you do everything. Yeah.
there's a lot of philosophy as well. I think.
Nice. I like this. Yeah, super.
Yeah. But the joy of connecting with people who you know for a long time is a different thing, right? That you should always, that friendship you should always hold on to. Those years when you grew together and you discovered life together. If there is some way of connecting,
I wish
that
more people understood this. Just that school time or college time connect
yeah,
can be such a differentiator as you make those big moves in life
that's
that
right.
you're doing now.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
So one way of myself looking at myself was from the Tata Group. There I was in a pretty senior position, and to scrap all that and start all over, then I said, what do I have to lose? Right? Financially, by God's grace, we don't have such big financial requirements that you can. So that safety net, in a way, was created. Right? There was a financial security around what is happening. So worst comes to worst, what? I mean, if this thing doesn't work, then what? Right? I said, if it doesn't work, we'll think about it. Till
Yeah,
then,
we'll see that time. Yeah, exactly.
let us make
And
it
you're a
work.
resourceful guy, so you don't have to worry about those things.
So family always asks you, what happens if this doesn't work? So what? We'll relax. We'll find something else to do.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We'll find something else to do. Probably find a reason, a purpose, one more purpose. But this kind of purpose that we have is actually guiding us that we are here to make a difference to the environment. And the fact that we can create jobs and save country foreign exchange is also a big thing. But those are, while there's a lofty ideas, if the business doesn't make sense on its own, it will not grow.
It will not survive.
Yeah. So getting the business up to a certain cost base and a certain revenue base is the one that we need to keep fighting for. That's what we're
But
doing.
Sridhar, you said that has already been established, but particularly with the IIT Madras coming in and validating it.
So, okay. So in an innovation company, this is a big thing, right? The innovator will come out with something, right? The idea will also get accepted and certified, but you might even get the first customer, right? But to actually grow it, you have to start taking care of lots of customer fears, right? For I'll give you a small example in our own
Please.
uh, biofuel, which is diesel equivalent. The first thing customer is worried about is he's got very expensive equipment. Now, if you introduce a new fuel, what will that mean to the life of that equipment? What happens if the chemical properties on the fuel destroy that equipment? What happens if he's got an, because here now he's dealing with a fuel which is supposed to give energy. What happens if he has an accident, right? And here we are a very small company, right? If you're a Tata company, it can come and say, our group will mend it. Don't worry, we are here to serve and survive. So in customers' mind, what happens if you guys disappear?
That's
So
a big question
yeah,
for entrepreneurs. Yeah.
yeah. And then what happens if I use your fuel and I'm not able to switch back, right? The people who invested, for example, in diesel engines and diesel boilers and diesel equipment are all people who have spent a lot of money. Yeah. While they appreciate that they can save the environment or save costs by using a fuel, but the bigger question is, will this fuel work successfully for me and get me all the benefits that I want without damaging stuff, right?
Without damaging, and also the pipeline, Sridhar. I mean,
Right.
you might tomorrow dry up and blow away. Then what
Yeah,
happens?
exactly. So you have to win over the customer with those kind of fears. So even to get him to do a trial is taking time. Took about 6 to 8 months. Now we have some blue chip customers behind us.
That makes a difference.
Yeah, that makes a difference. Now we can say, okay, now I have a reference customer. You can talk to this fellow. You can talk to
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Now it's easier.
Yeah, it's easier.
But
So
the
during
prototype was done when? The prototyping was done at what stage?
prototyping actually is never 100%, right? Is about 60-70%. Now you need to have an understanding customer who's going to live with you through that
Through
little
the
process
trial phase, yeah.
journey. If he's going to chuck you out,
Yeah.
then
If he puts his hands up, you're gone because you lost your credibility and everything.
so you need to have those kinds of customers. And I mean, why would a customer actually work with you if he doubts the product in some form, right? So you have to keep on working on his doubts one by one by one by one, right? For example, a simple thing is, if I store your fuel for more than 3 months, will the structure break down, right? Because this is organic in nature. Will say rain cause a problem? Will temperature cause a problem? Will some other exchange thing cause a problem? Because I'm in this kind of a chemical environment, will that cause a problem? With diesel, he knows 150 years of research has gone on, nothing will happen.
Yeah, you're right.
And we are
Tried
now
and tested.
testing that with this fuel. So those kinds of fears, if you have to conquer, you have to really go through this journey very carefully.
So IIT Madras is your key validator. in this?
We started with IIT Madras. Then we had ARAI in Pune, Automotive Research Association of India. Now we have Indian Institute of Petroleum in Dehradun also go through the test.
Those are big validations.
These are validations. When they come in, we present it in front of the customer, and that's how they say, okay, if those people have validated you, now it is left to me to do my smart testing as well, right? So the quality standard, the safety standard. My friend Veera is a very rich background in terms of working with the largest multinational companies globally, like Cargill and all that.
So he's done some of this in Europe already.
No. He's done for those companies in the different products. Like I'm talking of safety and all that. This is an innovation. This is a new thing.
This is total innovation. So this is an homegrown product.
India made.
India made. And what is the raw material for this?
Raw material is agro-industrial waste. What happens is when edible oils and all are made, right? The industry typically throws away all the waste, and there are people who recycle it. You cannot use it for food or feed, right? Those are really thrown away and then recycled somewhere. We pick up those bottom end wastes and we bring it and go through a process called pyrolysis or thermal cracking. And that takes it up to 450, 500 degrees centigrade. And we produce oil, which is your biofuel, which is diesel equivalent. We produce LPG like gas and biochar. Biochar is solid waste, which is used in agriculture.
So end-to-end use then. There's no wastage and there's no landfills and all that being.
That's a great point you picked up. Absolutely no waste. It is 100% recycled.
Wow.
So there is no waste at all.
Huge for the carbon footprint, yeah.
Absolutely. We can save up to 90% on the carbon footprint for diesel.
And this is going to be the next big thing, You're talking about carbon credits and all that. This for industry can be a huge, huge plus point.
Yes. So if you look at Europe today, they have banned use of further diesel. Okay, as in they just don't want to grow diesel there at all, because diesel is while it is very easy to use, that's how it's grown in this kind of volume. It has certain negative effects on the environment, right? The pollution and stuff like that. So biofuels are the one that governments world over are producing. So if you look at biofuels, first generation of biofuels was all produced from edible oils, edible food. You heard of soya and corn and stuff like that. Like Brazil is ethanol, is big in ethanol.
Yes.
Mr. Gadkari talks about ethanol as well. The drawback with that is it starts compromising on food security, because
it would directly impact food security. Yes.
Food security. So whereas with an initiative like ours, where we don't touch these food or feed waste, we actually use the waste which are really thrown away and converted into fuel.
That's tremendous plus point. Yeah. So government, does it give you subsidies and all for this?
Actually, government has a very interesting policy, National Biofuels Policy 2018. There's a huge document out there which I quite like that policy, and lots of things are coming. It takes time. There's a lot of awareness around it, I would say. The government is also pushing for it more and more. You can see ethanol, a lot of movement is happening. I think next wave will be for diesel, for second generation biofuel like ours to be pushed. Will be pushed.
So your primary objective, and I'm calling it out, is number one, to also handle this waste, and convert that into usable energy. So you reduce the carbon footprint and all that. But you didn't think of growing plants. There are some plants that directly link into this, and a lot of research has already been done. So this is not a parallel industry at all.
Jatropha was one.
Jatropha, yes.
It happened 12 to 14 years ago. But what happened was, while Jatropha was a great idea, that you can use the arid land for cultivating that, what happened was the seeds, the promised kind of output never came. The quality.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Maybe initially it came, but once the scale started growing, it couldn't keep up with the quality. Then it became a vicious cycle. Quality didn't come, so the usage didn't happen.
The whole effectiveness goes down,
Then commercial, so it became a downward
spiral. Yeah.
So the business kind of went further.
But as the use of biofuel goes up in your case, you'll have less and less of the waste to tackle. So then
Yes.
again, your customers are going to ask the same question.
So that's again a great question. So if you look at you looked at our announcement as well, right? So there is money that is coming our way. So much of the money is going to be put in the plant, the new plant that we're creating. But we are also conscious of doing a lot of R&D for new plant, new materials. For the conversion that we make today, we can make about 1 million liters of biofuel in the country. 1 million. Okay.
Remember.
And, there is about 5 million tons of waste which is available for that. Now, you're right. What happens after that? So our effort is to increase the R&D more and more. Eventually, get to if you talk of total bio waste in the country, agricultural waste, it's about 200 plus million tons.
So you're saying any of that can be used, but I thought you were looking at only like waste oils and other things.
I'm talking of the opportunity. So we'll build it step by step. Maybe that 5 million can get increased to.
You're right. You're right. With R&D, you can always take it on a slightly different path and all that. Yeah.
Actually, you're also right. Any of it can be used because it's natural, right? What has nature done over millions and billions of years?
Fuel is produced exactly that way.
Exactly like this. So what we have to do more R&D. Some will be rich in silica, some will be rich in water, some will be rich in other material. And depending on the kind of waste that we have to tweak R&D and we have to tweak the efforts that are there and take it to 200 million.
But with good guys like you around and having good classmates to work with, I mean, the sky is the limit. Have you tied up with IISc because they have got a lot of information on this, especially biofuels?
Oh, amazing question. In fact, we are going to work with IISc shortly as well for something that we're thinking about doing. IISc is also one of the prime candidates who are doing a lot of research in this field. They've done some amazing work for conversion, especially in silica and all that. We were talking to them, so hopefully that will also take us to some of the new kinds of products and produce.
Best thing is you've got funding. Series A already closed. That's the biggest part of the problem.
Right.
Now you don't have to worry. Like you used a very interesting metaphor. You don't have to go with the begging bowl anywhere. Now people are chasing you.
Yeah.
Because there's a big group behind you and they've invested in you. Automatically, it gets everybody's ears up. Fucked up.
So the way the fuel was ratified by IIT Madras, these people have ratified our business.
Yeah, the business model, the commercial part of it is already validated.
So it's got validated. So yeah, you're right. We should be able to attract more funds as we go along.
And you won't be going back to the Tata Group for some collaborations and partnerships, I'm just asking.
Who knows?
Okay, so some of this we'll keep off the record. I'm just thinking out of the box, that you know how it is. So my mind is always working 1 or 2 steps ahead in terms of what else can be done, what else.
Yeah.
But this is an awesome thing. So what next for Sridhar?
So next for me is to ensure that this becomes a scalable business before I think of my next S.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I think the focus has to be there.
Has to be there right now. I'm not
focus has to be there.
I'm thinking about nothing but taking this to a new level.
No, and that's the kind of focus you will need now. Yeah, brilliant. Hey, Sridhar, I know you for so long. I've seen you grow. I've seen you expand. I've seen you, experiment and innovate. And I think this is the best self I've seen of you in the last so many years, 20 years. I don't know how long we know each other.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is the best you. But again, I'm going to call out what I called out earlier. You have to start to write down your notes because all this could be history creating.
Yeah. I do actually. I've done a lot of blogs. You have seen.
Yes, I've seen that. And that all that can be collated and, reworked and actually made into a nice book. Yeah. So that's one. I want to ask you some quick fire questions before we close, Sridhar.
Yeah.
Just to put you on the block and get some random answers.
Yeah.
The biggest achievement of Sridhar is?
Yeah, transforming people in VSNL at that time.
I think that is one of my biggest achievements.
That really is.
Yeah, it sits well in the heart, really. So that's good. Thank you so much. What's your biggest failing and how did you manage it?
Oh, my biggest failing was when I worked on, I won't name them, a very large customer for 18 months. And when everything was done and I was supposed to get it, they pulled the rug from under my feet and I fell really hard. because I was counting on it for a lot of things that didn't happen. That would have been the biggest deal for me and for my company. And that really told me that, it's okay. We have to pick yourself up and go on.
That's the learning, that you have to pick yourself up and go to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not that you won't fall, you will fall. But people who pick themselves up nicely and move on will eventually win.
Yeah, that's good. That's excellent. If Sridhar could be somebody else at this point of time, who would that Sridhar be?
Actually, I would not like to be anybody else, and I've had a beautiful life, and I had wonderful moments, and I've had breaks and opportunities at every turn, and I've been blessed. So, be me.
That's nice, nice.
Enjoy
Sridhar, you
myself.
mentioned one or two learnings that you got from the program that we did. But on a personal level, is there anything that you picked up from me, and is there anything that you want to give me as advice?
Oh, at a personal level, I learned a lot from you, Ian. I mean, during the transformation process, I think, one of the things JK was telling me was, I'll tell you about Ian. He has counseled people out of suicide. Oh, yeah? Okay, that's the kind of person I want.
Oh,
Okay. So the biggest learning I had from you was, if it is to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, you made us say that in several ways, and
yeah.
it really stuck. You see, I'm saying that even now.
So many years later.
Yeah.
This
So
Zig Ziglar statement, by the way, that's not my statement. So
yeah, but you made us internalize it so much, right? So that really helped me. Whenever I had those things which used to put me down, and to pick
brilliant,
up.
brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And if there's one bit of advice you could give me, it would be.
Yeah, it's very difficult for me to advise you, given that I've seen only positive. You eke out so much of positive energy, right? You can make a dead guy, almost dead guy, believe that he's alive and he's kicking.
I must tell my wife this, okay? So, Sridhar, I'm going to use your name here.
Oh yeah, you do that. So even to a fellow who's like that, you think that you've got the greatest of life. He's going to jump off his whatever the stretcher and perhaps start running. So that you have
Good,
done.
good.
So I just can't think of anything. You be you, and you
Yeah,
have
yeah, no.
treated
In
us
fact,
awesome.
I don't know. I haven't told you this. We haven't spoken for a long time, but I feel the best me is now, and
Yeah,
you meet me 1 year later, and that'll be the best me. So there's no stopping me on this planet, and I think a lot of people know that.
yeah, true.
So I'm really happy with that, and especially meeting old friends like you,
Yeah.
who have done so well and still kept your humility, kept your feet on the ground. I mean, you could have your head right up in the clouds with what all you have done. And, you've been so humble and not even mentioned some of that. But I always have high respect and regard for you. And Srinath, was another guy who I really admired in the corporate world. I
Yeah.
mentioned his name in so many of my training programs.
Oh,
I
that's
think we
so.
have good leaders like this in India. In fact, I'm going to pick up some more tips and tricks from you. My book, by the way, finally, post-pandemic, I'm releasing it. But
Oh,
I'm looking at self-publishing, or I'm talking to two publishers at the moment. It's
okay.
whichever one picks up the thing quickly. Otherwise, I'm going with my
Okay.
self-publishing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a post-pandemic world leadership book for India.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to break a lot of boundaries.
Right.
It's totally new.
Excited to,
But I want to get your opinion for the book as well.
oh yeah.
So I want to get your, your wisdom there
Yeah,
recorded.
sure. I'm sure it will be full of those learnings and expressions.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's going to be a practical leadership book for India.
Okay.
But Sridhar, it's always a pleasure talking to you, always.
Not
And
to worry.
today was no exception.
You as well. Likewise.
Yeah, and always there's a lot of energy when we connect.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that. And in this new business, I want to wish you all the best. This is good for India.
Yeah.
This is good for the environment and therefore the globe. And the way I look at it, Sridhar, you're going to go from strength to strength. And I
Okay.
wish you and your other partners all the very best.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that really helps. Thank you.
No, and any help from me you require anytime, just give.
Oh yes, I'll reach out. Ian is just one phone call away.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks so much, Sridhar. I really appreciate your time and your energy, and most of all, your wisdom.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you soon.
Bye bye.